Okay, so we're gonna do a really beautiful practice to start with. I was inspired. I went on a canoe trip this morning and like canoeing, through the creek, through the forest, and all the moss. So we're gonna do a sphagnum moss practice, and then that's gonna flow into a like womb and heart practice. So I want to invite you to get really comfortable and yeah, so I'll just talk a little bit about sphagnum moss as we're getting started, just in case you're not super familiar with it. I don't know if it's over there, but sphagnum moss is like this really beautiful, like light, kind of bright green moss that feels like a carpet. And if you're, sometimes you'll find a little patch of sphagnum moss, but there are these sphagnum bogs that are just like, for as far as you can see, there's just sphagnum. And if you walk on the sphagnum, it's like really spongy. You can like feel the movement of the earth beneath you, and it feels like the most soft, kind of welcoming carpet you can imagine. And if you lay on your back on the sphagnum moss and just breathe, you can really feel the earth breathing you. And there's this simultaneous sensation of like being deeply held and also like a buoyancy because of, I guess, like how much air is like in and water is in between the layers of the moss. And I was taught by a medicine man many years ago of the power of sphagnum moss to just receive like anything heavy that we're carrying that we're ready to release, to just release that into the earth. So that's where we're going to start today. So yeah, just allowing yourself to be really comfortable and just imagine, sense, feel, like visualize yourself laying on your back amidst like an ocean of sphagnum moss like surrounding you. The place I'm thinking of is in northern Maine, like really, really far up in the state, in the total wilderness, that I went to on this several week long canoe trip many years ago. And it's like just being in the wilderness. And we all just lay on this sphagnum moss. So just really picturing like the depth and the quiet of nature with the birds and the clear blue sky above you. And just begin to feel yourself being breathed by Mother Earth. So let yourself really sink through the layers of your own body and through the layers of the moss till you get to this place where you are the moss and the moss is you. And just instead of breathing, feel yourself being breathed. So it'll be different for all of us, but for me, when I feel myself being breathed, it's like, oxygen is still coming in through my nose and mouth and coming inside my body through my lungs and then the carbon dioxide going back out. But I feel myself being breathed. This like there's this sensation really deep, kind of in my abdomen that comes from underneath and inside that just expands and draws in. And the breath rides within that. And as you feel yourself being breathed, allow yourself to keep dropping down into deeper and deeper levels of beingness. And as that's happening, notice that you sort of effortlessly just start to shed some of the outer layers. And so you can invite like a consciousness to the shedding, or you can also just allow the shedding and the unlayering to unfold. So it's like, you know, for example, having the experience of tiredness, like tiredness is a layer, right? And so it's like as you drop down into this deeper beingness, that form and that structure of tiredness just like sheds into the sphagnum moss. Any difficult experiences or places you may be holding on to just shed and release as you feel yourself being breathed. And if you fall asleep during this practice, it's just beautiful. Often on sphagnum moss, it's a good place to fall asleep. We're all in a different flow. So for some of you, you may be just continuing to shed and to shed and to shed. And some of you may come to this deep, still place. Whatever's unfolding for you, just staying with the unfolding, experiencing the life of the unfolding, being breathed, being nourished. And at any point along the way in this practice, feel free to just stay where you are. If journeying on to the next part isn't in your flow, just stay and be where you are. And so at this time, if you feel so drawn, just bringing your awareness at this deep level into your heart and just explore the terrain of your heart. Just seeing what's here for you and bringing in the medicine of beingness and the medicine of sphagnum moss into your heart. And it's almost like I'm having this experience of it's like the sphagnum moss. Some of it sometimes, can enter the heart space. And it's like as your heart spirals and breathes with the sponge of the moss in there. It's like the moss is just absorbing and radiating light. So it's a cleaning of your heart. And just see what happens if you allow your heart to be cleansed. And when that feels complete, see how it completes for you. For me, the sphagnum moss dissolves into this beautiful green light. So there's a transmutation that's happened, or perhaps sphagnum moss will come out of your heart space and return to the earth next to you, and then you fill your heart with light. So just follow the process as it is for you and trust. And when you feel complete in your heart, offering some gratitude to your heart, some gratitude to the sphagnum moss for all that's just been healed and for all you've received and all you've let go of. And take a moment to connect with the sphagnum moss that you're laying back on, with your heart. It's just beating in connection with the sphagnum moss and with all of life. And if it feels right from here, feeling yourself being drawn down into your womb space, to the space where your womb once was, which is still your womb space. And just allow yourself to be drawn into your womb. And to just explore the terrain and the territory inside. Feel the depth and the power that lives in this part of your body. The energies of creation. And just see, feel, trust, know the breathing happening in your womb. Let yourself explore the landscape. And just by being here, this connection is strengthened. And if you'd like, you can invite some sphagnum moss into your womb space for healing and renewal. And just really feel the connection from the light of your heart down into the light of your womb. And just really make yourself at home here. And if it's appropriate, ask for safety and ask for connection so that you really feel held in this part of you and you feel the connection. And so you take a moment to feel the holding of the sphagnum moss around you, your beautifully nourished and refreshed heart, and your womb space, and you feel the connection inside, outside. And just offer yourself some time. It's as though you've shrunk down really small and you're standing inside the temple of your womb. And just allow yourself to fully absorb the medicine and the blessings of your womb space. And ask for any healing that's needed. Your next inhale, really draw in to the space, and on your next exhale, feel yourself growing bigger and expanding out into the fullness of your physical body. Feel the sphagnum moss that surrounds you, and offer your gratitude for all you've received on this healing journey. Whisper your blessings and your medicine into Mother Earth. Deep appreciation for all she's just given you. And as you feel ready with your next inhale, drawing in, with an exhale, expanding out with your body and your hands, your arms into the space around you. Perhaps taking a couple of inhales, drawing in, exhales, reaching out in your own time, in your own way. Till you feel ready